This is lesson 4.5 called fractions and decimals for pre-algebra. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert fractions to decimals. Now, if you remember a while back, I was telling you that whenever you had something like 6 over 2, that line there meant the same as division. It meant 6 divided by 2. And when we're dealing with fractions, it's the same thing. Whether you call that a division sign or whether that's a fraction line to make it a fraction, the same thing happens. It's always a division. So, for example, 3 over 4 is the same as 3 divided by 4. And when you want to change a fraction to a decimal, you do the division, 3 divided by 4. So the top number always goes in the box. The bottom number always goes outside. And in this case, we take 4 into 3 and it does not go, so that's where we add a decimal, and then we add some zeros here, because obviously our 4 is bigger than 3, so it cannot go into 3. But we use our decimals and we can make it work. So you can put a decimal there after the last number, in this case the 3, add as many zeros as you want, bring the decimal straight up, and then forget the decimal exists. So 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. And again, we're just ignoring that there's any decimals there. 4 goes into 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 0. And there's no remainder. You're done. So you have 0.75. So 3/4 is the same as 0.75. And 0.75, this number here, is in the hundredths place, so it's 75 over 100, and that will reduce back to the fraction 3/4. So for example number 2, when they say write 7 over 12 as a decimal to the thousandths column, they're interested in going to the thousandths column, meaning when we have a decimal, thousandths, again it ends in DTH, so we know that it's to the right of the decimal how far over we go. So this is our tens, our hundreds, and this third one is our thousandths column. So we need to go over 3 decimals is what they're interested in. Now when they say round to the thousandths, we really have to go to the 4th one to find out if this number goes up or down. And so we'll go ahead and do that, and if that is a little confusing, we'll try to clear that up once we're moving along here. So 7 divided by 12. So 7, let me bring that down a little bit. And we're going to divide that by 12. So again, 7 is smaller, so we put a decimal and add a bunch of zeros. And then we bring this decimal straight up, and then we forget those decimals are there. So 12 goes into 70 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. We have 10 left over. 12 does not go into 10. Bring down a 0. 12 goes into 100. 8 times. 8 times 12 is 84. And that leaves us, I'm sorry, 8 times 12, I'm thinking 7 times 12. 8 times 12 goes 96. And we have 4 left over. Bring down a 0. 12 goes into 43 times. 36. Bring down a 4. Bring down another 0. That's the last 0, right? Okay, so 12 goes into 40 3 times. 3 times 12 is 36. And we have 4 left over. I mean, we can keep going forever and ever and ever, but they said round to the thousandths place, and that's the thousandths, so we only go to one place value past, and we look at that place value and see that this is a 3. Since it's less than 5, it doesn't change. We don't change this 3 here. We don't raise it to a 4. If it were 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we would raise that 3 to a 4. But since it's not, we leave it the way it is. Get rid of this 3 here, and we're left with 0.583. Now, if you look at example 3, it asks us to write 3 over 11 as a decimal. So we've got 3 divided by 11, put our decimal there, and just start adding zeros. It doesn't tell us how far to go, but as we start dividing, and I'll just let them show the work there in the book, we get 0.27272727 into infinity. So what I like to do is I like to write something like 0.2727, and I say, oh, it's repeating, and I do dot, 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 or that 2727 is going to repeat into infinity. Now, when you were younger, you probably did this. When you saw that it repeated like that over and over, you put a line up there above what's going to repeat over and over and over. Either way works. I know when you get into higher level math, usually, at least what I've seen, is the dot, dot, dot rather than the 0.7 with a line over it. But anyway, that is a way to show repeating decimal places, is what those are called. That